Hello, my name is Alexei. I'm philosopher, scientist, educator, science communicator, musician, and polymath. I wrote a book about ethics, and I don't sure how to name it properly, but sounds like something like critiques of egoism. Critiques of natural egoism, critique of subconscious egoism. Though I would choose lately what would the name of this book would be. Sorry, and English is not my mother tongue. I don't know how to structure sentences. Don't know grammar. Yeah, um, I wrote a book about ethics, and I want this book to be translated to other languages. And first, I started with the only other language I know, English. I don't have a good pronunciation. Sorry, I don't know how to speak properly to sound like native speaker. Some words and letters would sound funny, but I don't care. It's not embarrassing, I think. I would read my book in 10 parts. This is first part. And if you're interested in philosophy, linguistics, ethics, I guess you would be interested in this book. This book consists of 100 points, 100 messages, exact messages. How to become conscious person, mindful person. Yeah, I used machine translation. I didn't translate every sentence, and maybe there would be some errors in translation. I would translate it on a flight. And look, I do it myself. I don't know how to sculpture things, but I do it. I spent hell. Yeah, I spent 4 hours making this, and I spent 10 hours making this out of paper and green, I guess. Let's go. Hi. I've been singing since I was 11. I've been playing guitar since I was 16. I've been experiencing deep inner personal crises since I was 18. I've been creating songs since I was 20. I've been doing sound engineering since I was 21. I've been studying philosophy since I was 23. I've been interested in and engaged in science for as long as I can remember. I dropped out of university twice. I quit music several times and returned to it. I got into love addiction too many times. Several times in my life I acted heroically, standing up for the weak. More than 8 times I tried to do irreparable things because it was difficult for me. I mean suicide. I was an unconscious person, and I'm still working on my conscious. I went I went through an unusual moral evolution. I watched the YouTube blogger Dmitry Latin and admired his cynicism and chauvinism. Uh, in 2013 14, I was stand-up comedian for whom there were no boundaries. In 2014 15, I was entrepreneur who was willing to do anything for the sake of sales, for profit, for money. In 2017, I was definitely an unscrupulous person, unconscious. I was definitely an unconscious person who broke the law for reasons of fun. I was interested in social engineering because I wanted to be able to get what I want from people. In 2018, I was going to arrend a prostitute, but now I believe this is economic support of human trafficking. I've been through a lot of value reassessment. Music was ceased to be my main activity. I couldn't cope with achieving fame and realized that I was driven by pride. Unfortunately, I even have doubts that science is an absolute blessing. The fruits of science are used for unfair purposes, and scientists have no control over the implementation of their works. Philosophy is important to me now. Now I'm an encyclopedist, polymath, autodidact, a citizen scientist, an essayist. I explore morality, truth, justice, reason, and worldview. A philosopher friend referred to me as deontologist, a philosopher who does his duty. I'm trying to be stoic. I'm an atheist who was started to respect religions. It is important for me to understand how the world works, to understand how people works, and probably to make the world a better place within my limited capabilities. Rapper Vladi from rap group Kasta has a line, "There is no better goal," and I realize it. How to benefit people. That you should benefit people. To benefit people, I wrote this essay. I truly believe in what it says. Take this essay as a calibration of your moral compass. At the very least, I would like to ask you for this calibration. There are the 100 main thoughts to become a conscious person. Many chapters are written as a specific call to action, but without an argument why I should act this way. The validity of my statements is self-evident to me, and I hope that you will also perceive these appeals as self-evident, not requiring argumentation. That is justification. I suggest reading one thought a day for the 3.5 months. discussing, analyzing, criticizing it with a friend, and deciding for yourself. Take it or throw it away. Not all of them need to be taken. Well, let's begin, shall we? Dictionary. Perhaps I used rare words in my essay. Here are definitions that might come across. An agent is entity endowed with the ability to independently think about decisions, make decisions, and independently form goals and choose actions from a variety of possible options. An act. Act is a conscious, committed action of a subject realized in the outside world and aimed at achieving a specific goal. A good, a boon, or blessing is a real embodiment of good that a person or a community is able to feel, which is the result of moral acts and corresponds to the ideal that good persons strive for through meaningful good decisions. At the same time, the good is evaluated according to established ethical standards and can have both an individual and collective character, and its manifestation is often long-lasting and sustainable. Long-lasting and sustainable character. Good. What is good? Good is a phenomenon that has an immaterial nature, which has a mental nature, which gathers around itself all objects, processes, relations, actions, and concepts containing good. That is, goodness is a pole. That is, good is a pole in semantic field of morality. The pole of good is opposed to the pole of evil. Good is perceived by the subject in a constant of values, principles, ideals, rules, desires, needs of the subject. Good is found within the framework of the subject's ethical system. Conscientiousness is a person's way of thinking that directly affects a person's way of action. When a person is not trying or intending to violate moral principles or other important rules known to this person. Virtue is inner personal quality of a person that stimulates an increase in the benefit in the life of a given person and or others. A character trait that is worthy of imitation and admiration. Duty is the course of action that a person perceives as obligatory for fulfillment and observance. Sometimes for a given course of actions, there may not be a rigorous proof of the reason why there is such an obligation. A person either takes on a debt himself, herself, formulates it for himself or herself, or he is giving this debt in connection with his involvement in a social group or in connection with her status. Malicious intent is a person's desire to violate a legal or moral principle. An instrumental value is a resource that can be transformed into other instrumental goals or into final goals. Or I'd say this is value which needs to get other values. I'd say an intention is a mental event that determines a person's future actions. The ultimate value or inner value or is a type of good that is valuable in itself and not for use as a way to achieve a goal. But also there is hybrid values which are both inner value, instrumental value, and ultimate value. For example, knowledge. You can use knowledge to do work, and you can value knowledge as ideal and be grateful simply without trying to implement it somewhere. Logic is a science that teaches you to come to the most correct conclusions from the information provided to a person. Logic is a science that focuses on what kind of relationship is established between statements and what can be understood based on these relations. Maxim is a universal rule that is accepted everywhere and always. A person chooses such a rule for himself, herself, although sometimes it can be imposed by someone from the outside. A moral dilemma is a thought experiment in which one or two decisions must be made. It is useful for clarifying a person's values, for finding the best solution in real life through safe theory. A thought experiment is a fantasy of potential conditions in which person could provide a thought experiment is a fantasy of potential conditions in which person could provide understanding. Please wait a minute. A thought experiment is a fantasy of potential conditions in which person could find himself, herself. Yep. Vice is an inner quality of a person that leads a person to evil actions, a character trait that maximizes evil. A resource is a certain good that can be transformed into another good. So resource, it's the same as instrumental value, I guess. Justice is a mental ideal, an imaginary good state of the world in which all people are satisfied. However, there are many models of a just world which leads to widespread misunderstanding between people. A means to achieve goal is what a person uses to achieve a goal. A way to achieve the object of desire, the path towards the end point of a person's aspiration, the intended way to achieve the ideal result of meaningful free action, the embodiment of a formalized desire, feeling an unmet need. Speculative. Speculative. Using speculation, that is, seeing with the mind. A goal is something that person wants to achieve, the object of desire, an entity with value, the end point of a person's inspiration, the supposed ideal result of meaningful free actions, a combination of formalized desires and an unmet need. Value. Value. What is value? What is value? Value is a part of a person's worldview that reflects what is vital, priority and significant for a person. Each person necessary guided by their values when making decisions. The value system guides all human actions. Values can be expressed in a wide variety expressed in a wide variety and lead a person to both moral behavior and immoral behavior. Ethics. What is ethics? Is a branch of philosophy, the doctrine of a noble life, of the differences. The doctrine of noble life, the philosophy of the differences between good and evil, of a proper moral life, of rules and norms, philosophy of these things. Yeah, this is end of dictionary. Oh. So let's begin the main part. That is exactly content of my book. I guess beginning is too long, maybe, and dictionary might be in the end of the book. Sorry. Let's go. Unfortunately, an unscrupulous way of thinking and acting can be fixed in a person. Unconscious way of thinking and acting can be fixed in a person. An unconscious way of thinking and acting could be present in a person for years, and they became the norm for him or her. All people constantly see their nose and eyeglass frames out of the corner of their eyes, but this is not relevant information, and the visual system does not focus on these objects, as well as with unnoticeable dishonesty. We don't notice them. Becoming an unconscious person is a gradual process. Therefore, you will not become conscious in one evening of reading this essay, but you will become one if self-knowledge becomes your new daily habit. Second point. You probably know or have met depressed people who are hardened, burned out, embittered, tarnished. This is inherently related to the fact that they could not do anything about the fact that they had been subjected to unfair influences from other people for years in order to extract personal benefits. In your hands is the opportunity not to be involved in the fact that someone's life will be tarnished. It is impossible to require a person to trust you. Trust is earned over time by actions and decisions made in situations of choice. This is a reason to adhere the principle of good faith in your life. One of the noblest things of fourth point. One of the noblest things you can do in life is to give up the idea of revenge. Fifth, revenge does not achieve the goal of teaching another person not to do that anymore. Revenge does not lead to justice. Revenge spins the flywheel of violence, because violence breeds violence. Try asking yourself this question. There are many people in the world who have harmed other people. Therefore, some want to take revenge on others. Do I want everyone in the world who wants revenge to actually take revenge? Then will someone take revenge on me? 6. Point number 6. Point number 6. If there is a place in your life for revenge, hatred, conflict, or aggression, then fear will definitely attract a chronic fear. Its name is a phobia. If you live in a frame of reference in which you need to survive by defending yourself from enemies, you will start to see enemies behind you when they are not there. You will begin to plan your life in such a way as to quickly neutralize your enemies. But the front sight can be shut down, and where there appears to be an enemy challenge, there might actually be a completely natural shadow. And the cause of the troubles that will have to be dealt with this is tortured inner world in which the phobia lives. Think about how pleasant it is to live a life in which you have not made enemies. I guess this is the seventh argument. Eight point. Do not try to change a particular person, but if there is a desire to benefit society through changing people, you can promote ideas to an unlimited number of people. Someone will join the idea by freely meeting with it and thinking about it. Do it through social media. Demonstrate your way of thinking and lifestyle. It will probably work. I didn't come up with this idea myself. A friend explained it to me. 9. Right now, at this moment, there are people whose lives are harder and more painful than yours. Their existence cannot be ignored. Every living person has an unspoken responsibility to help the disadvantaged, the sick, the needy, and those who live in food insecurity. We are talking about residents of other countries whom you may never meet in person. That is, human life is valuable, one of the unconditional values. Help is a blessing. Boon. Ignoring is a vice. Suffering has a moral value. Humanism is a system of building society where human life is the highest value and all material and non-material resources are aimed at making this life as comfortable and safe as possible. If you do not ignore it, you can discover the suffering of someone, human life, and you can show help as an expression of humanism. And the last 10th point for this first part. There are rules in this world. Some rules are reasonable and understandable for obvious reasons, such as laws prohibiting various forms of physical harm to other person. However, there are other rules that look unreasonable and were created for unknown reasons. Some people are willing to ignore such rules, but if you don't understand the basis of a rule, it doesn't mean that you can break those rules. It is necessary to find out how this rule arose and only then decide whether it is justified or not. Ask other people or an AI chatbot for help in clarifying this. This is all for now. Watch other parts, other chapters. I hope I would shoot all 10 chapters. Simply just not chapters, but parts. I divide the whole book, which consists of 14,000 words, to 10 parts, which consist approximately 1,400 words. See you the next time. Please share this book with someone, or please translate this book on your native language, to your mother tongue, and please publish somewhere. I'd also add a link to this book in description, and maybe the content of the whole video would be in the description or in the pinned comment. Yep. Thanks for watching. Please share wisdom. Lots of love. Bye.